We have the green light. Can we please have our wool handlers to the stands? And judges. Nannies first. Nannies first. You don't have to fight over who goes up. Shear Expertise are the sponsor of this event. Thank you very much to Shear Expertise. That's Paddy Mason and his crew. Paddy Mason and his crew also do the shearing, and he handpicks his shearers. We only want the best. Can we have our shearers to the board? We have the green light. I'd like to welcome my co-commentator, Rowena Duncan. Welcome to the Open Wool Handling semi-finals.
Thanks, Tim. Absolute pleasure to be here. Looking forward to this. We've seen our competitors handle 4 fleeces, 4 long wool fleeces in the heats, in the quarterfinals. They're now up to 5 long wool fleeces, and this the semi-final in the Shear Expertise Open Wool Handling. All of the sheep kindly supplied by White Spurs, local farmers here, and as we've mentioned so often throughout this weekend, it's been extremely challenging conditions for the farmers recently, what with the ongoing drought. So full credit to White Spurs for producing us a very even line of long wool sheep here.
Well, here we're back. We're back to winding down. We're getting to the, as Digger has said earlier, we're getting to the real business end of things, and that's no different than the next event that we have in front of us, the Shear Expertise Wool Handling semi-final. And I'm really pleased and privileged to have a co-conspirator with me at the moment, Philip Morrison. Philip, you've been in everything in wool handling. You a competitor, a judge, an examiner. You tell the people.
Wasn't as competitive as you, Mavis, but it was mainly through young farmers that my association with the wool handling took place, and we were a pretty good team together, weren't we?
We were a massive team. You know, East Coast ruled in young farmers back in our day.
Well, the big thing was to beat the Wairarapa teams. That's
yeah, that's right. That's right. So, Philip, we've got the Open. So we are really getting into it. The Shear Expertise Open Wool Handling semi-final. Shear Expertise, Paddy Mason. What an amazing job he does, you know, for the shears with his voluntary work, but now also as a major sponsor.
Yes, he is a major sponsor, and you know, behind the scenes, of course, we see the resident shearers. They come organised through Paddy and who work for him. He used to crutch some of the sheep for the shearing at some stage, but with his input, with his resident shearers, he has given that away, and fair enough.
Yeah, for sure. So they're going to be, these competitors, 2 heats, they're going to be handling 5 long wool fleeces, and these fleeces are being supplied by White Spurs property. Amazing condition. You can see through the last few days these beautiful, well-grown fleeces, Philip?
Yes, the Young Farmers Committee went out to the White Spurs wool shed back in December to give these sheep a little tag up and keep them ready for the shears, and they were in good order then. But he's a great bloke, Donald, and the country he is on is well suited to growing good sheep. Right,
so let's introduce our first heat of this Open Wool Handling semi-final. So on stand 1 we have Cherie Alabaster. So Cherie, she's had not a bad season. She's not full-time in this game anymore either, is she, Philip?
Oh, no. She mixes this up with on-call teaching of children at a school, but she doesn't forget how to do it, and that's probably, over the years of experience, that's what you gain.
That's right. So she's had some wins this year. Wairarapa, she won the Waipukaro competition, the Apiti, it's not an AMP show, but the Apiti sports show as well. So, you know, she comes pretty well prepared and she'll be hungry for this title again. On stand 2, we have Pagan. Pagan Karodia, you've travelled with her as a manager, Philip?
No, not as a manager, but she was in France, of course, and I was over there helping the French judges and referees who had never done woolhandling judging on a big scale. So she's great to watch, and she fully deserved that place back in France last year.
Yeah, so her shows that she's got under her belt for this year: Alexandra, Waimate, Christchurch and Winton. And then we've got 2 that are not strangers to the Open, but potentially strangers to a Golden Shears Open. And the first one is Candy Hiddy from Mataura. She's been a strong competitor for a number of years, always there, always competitive, but just not always that consistency that can keep driving. But she's one of those competitors right on the brink of it, Philip. She's always there. And then lastly, Rachel Hutchinson from Australia. We saw her last night, another very competitive Australian wool handler, well coached, well disciplined. So I think she'll be thrilled that she's been able to push through into the semi-final.
Oh, I think that's marvellous for her, you know, to make a semi-final at Golden Shears. That's the top 8, of course. I'm not sure if we have had an Australian semi-finalist before, so it's well done her. And going back to Cindy, you know, is one of those competitors who keeps competing at competitions, and there's always got to be not necessarily winners, but people who support the competitions, and they keep learning, and hopefully one day she will reach the top.
That's right. So now we're watching Cherie Alabaster here. She's on stand 1. Everyone's got their first fleece out. Look at them busy preparing. It's a big job to prepare that fleece. The more prep work you do now, the better you throw potentially, isn't it, Philip?
Absolutely, and you can see the sort of on edge, and that's good. That's not nerves necessarily, but you know, going back to my days as wool handling, it's a lot of it's in the mind. I'd say 75% of it is just how you've thought out what you're going to do and where you're going to put things.
Yes, look at this in slow mo. These are those throws. Not bad from Cindy. A little bit of hangover. Kieran looked the best throw there.
Absolutely, yes.
And that we're not using the points through this because it is a semi-final at the moment, but you know, you can assume that Candy would have lost minimal points on that. So then they're all back to that shearer again to ensure that they catch all those contaminating short fibres in the crutch wool and also from around the head. I mean, this is all important stuff, very basic but very important, isn't it?
Well, it really is trying to improve the A-line, and wool handling is all about that, but it is also a competition, so it means sorting all lines out, separating them, and we certainly don't want any of the finer B-wools or dirty wools that contaminate the A-line. So here you see them rolling up, and of course that's so important to put in their little flexible tub there to be taken away for judging, but good rolls are much easier to judge out the back than something that's sort of pushed together.
Yeah, and the thing is too, the roll can attract up to, I think it's up to 10 penalty points, and the criteria is it's got to be compact, tight and well placed. Here we go, our second throws. Yep, they're not bad. I think Cherie might have the edge on that. The others didn't quite, you know, make the whole grade in terms of the stretch that it could have had, especially when you look at Pagan when she turns, she's just not giving it. Oh no, that's pretty cool. No, that's good.
I think Pagan's fleece is sort of held together quite well. Cherie's just breaking up there a bit, but I think sometimes, you know, these fleeces you can't necessarily throw them. It's what I would call you place them or put them. We see a lot of that from Joel Hanare, but it's very important you just don't overthrow these fleeces, or they will just take off the edge of the table.
Well, they're so well grown for a start, these fleeces. So, that's what can happen. So we're being joined here by one of our Australian comrades. How are you? So we're watching Candy at the moment. She's got her third sheep out? She does. And as we said before, sometimes you can get to that third sheep, but it's the fourth one, if you're not onto it, that can cause some issues. But, gee, these girls are all onto it. They've certainly got it going well.
Interesting in your comments earlier, Mavis, where Pagan has won, I think it's all full wool fleece competitions.
Yes.
Whereas Cherie has more sort of second shear competitions. In the semi-final, just full wool fleeces, but look, if they make the final tonight, there's 6 full wool fleeces, 4 second shear, so there's a lot of work to do, and if they're competent with both the long and the shorter wools, that's where it counts.
That's right. Look, there's some beautiful throws there. They're not, I don't think any one of them is perfect, but they're all certainly on table, on square, but there is some overthrow, some slight bunching, but the judges will be taking huge notice of that and making sure that the penalties are applied appropriately. Here's Candy Hiddy. If we look at the little dials down the bottom, Philip, it's quite an interesting snapshot of what's happening. So here's Rachel. She's on sheep number 4. There's her time. The colours tell you what the average is on for that heat. So, for example, the board, you can see where the average is. Her board points at the moment are probably just, a little bit too much in terms of where everybody else sits. So, if for the people out there watching, they can have a quick look at that and just see where the red, green is and where the arrow is, because that dial is applied to, for example, in this situation, to Rachel. So, she's got a bit of work to do to catch up. But look at her, she's down under the table at the moment. She's making sure she gives herself every opportunity.
And I see the dial for the board just drop back a little bit there.
Ah, good.
So a few more points, I think that means lost.
Oh, okay.
So if the green goes right round
Yes,
to the
yes.
right, it means good.
That's right, yes.
But
Another great throws. Look at them. You'd be proud of those. So we've just got a bit of a slow-mo here. This is a repeat. Just watching that, you get a really great view of, look at Therese holding it, held it up, just adjusted that back end. Same with Pagan. A little bit on the overthrow.
Yes.
They're not easy fleeces, these. They're doing it well.
Certainly not. And I think Cindy's fleeces have been the loosest of all, and they've all 3 of them so far, or 4, have sort of just a little bit of a break in the way they've laid on the table.
Yes. That's not always any reflection of anything the wool handler has necessarily done. Sometimes these fleeces are like that, although sometimes when wool handlers go to turn those fleeces, they could be just a little bit rough with them, and that could, provide the break. But look at the way Cherie's working around that fleece. She's not going to waste any time running right around the table. She's going to bring it to her.
Yes, you see her working down, looking at the screen, the nearest side of the table. That's where her basket is for her first pieces.
Yes.
So there's no sort of skirting on the far side of the table and having to find the basket on the opposite side.
No, that's right.
That's good workmanship.
Very smart. This is about strategy. Now, when you're at this level, you've got to be thinking, every second and adjusting, flexing. It's just, there's no one road.
That's right. Every fleece is different. Even though you might think, looking at them, that they're very much the same, but every fleece is different. The different amounts of skirting needed, perhaps neck wool that comes off them.
Yes.
Just even the way they're thrown and the way they sit on the table. But obviously the looser fleeces are harder to roll, and once again, very easy to lose points. But, that fleece of Cherie's is just collapsed in the middle.
That's right.
On the whole, I think Pagan would have the best throws of all 4 on the average.
Yes, they've been actually, for the type of fleeces that they've been given, I think they've done an outstanding job. None of it's been easy. None of it's been easy, but now is the crunch time. Look at Rachel. Rachel Hutchings already got the broom in hand. She looks under her table. She's got it sorted. She would have been smarting that perhaps things hadn't gone quite so well, and you can see that there. Her board's just a little bit higher than she would have really liked, but she's got time on her side. Good on you, Rachel. Put the pressure on.
Pagan's finished.
Pagan's finished. Yes, there's Cherie was on her hands and knees, as is Candy. You know, no pride when you're trying to just make sure you've got every single piece of wool in the right bin. Well done, ladies. That's a frantic bit of a first heat, and we'll very shortly get to a second heat. Thank you, Toby.
Please, competitors, we don't want you to get up before. Well, Rowena, that was a wonderful semi-final. Those wool handlers, man, they were gunning it. I didn't see that Aussie girl skirt her fleece.
Yeah, I think she managed to do it quite quickly. She'd done a lot of work on the board. So we see our competitors start to line up their baskets to put them in the place. Toma, is it kind of down to which school you went to or which wool handler you looked up to when you were getting into the sport as to how you position, or do you just kind of adapt as you go?
Joel was just saying he didn't go to school, he wasn't allowed. But a lot of these wool handlers, they did have mentors. We have Gina Nathan, Mavis Mullins, Orty Mason, to name a few, Patrick Shelford. There's a lot of these mentors that came in. A lot of them were mostly dragons. You know, if you weren't doing your job properly, they'd throw your broom out the porthole and tell you to get on your knees. So she was fairly hard back in the day. But yeah, it really shines through with the new breed that's coming in. Joel Hennady, I think he might have been about 8 or... how old were you, Joel, when you first started doing competitions? 11? Joel was 12 years old when he first started doing competitions, so he had a wonderful mentor. Well, mentors, they all kind of mothered Joel. And he took the best out of all of them, and he became the man he is today. We have the green light. Can we have our judges to the board? Wool handlers, if you find rattle in the fleece, they're going to disregard it. Okay, wool handlers, if you find rattle in the fleece, you can disregard it. Timekeepers ready. Shearers, get set, go. Okay, here we go again. Heat number 2. Wanting to make the top 4.
Here we go, heat number 2, stand 1. They've already started, they've got their first sheep out. Stand number 1, Joel Henare. Now Joel, darling Joel, he's supposed to be retired, but you know, when you love something like you love it, you don't stay away. And this year, even out of the spare time he's had, Joel's had some wins.
But more importantly, Otago, of course, he won the New Zealand Woolhandler of the Year title, and I thought that had been his first competition, but to come back and to win that against the other guns of the wool handling competitions, it's a fantastic effort.
Yeah, no, he's, it's interesting. I've had a chat to Joel and he's as hungry as ever. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, when you love it, what can I do? Good question, Joel, good question. Just stay with it then until it sorts itself out. On stand number 2, we have Lani Morel. Now, Lani comes from a long line of champions. Dion Morel, dad. Tina Remene, mother. Pagan, sister. I mean, this girl's got it in her blood, and she's brought herself all the way to this semi-final. I mean, this is no mean feat, Philip, at all. And then on stand number 3, we have Monica Portai.
Yes, it's good to have these, the girls from down south up here and down there. I guess they're working with merino wool a lot. Back here on crossbred wool, essentially it's generally the same sort of workmanship that's required, of course, in the competition. The fleece is obviously a bit different to pick up and throw, and a little bit of skirting. You have to be very careful with the finer wools with their seeds and weight in them.
Yeah, no, well, Monica's, I don't think she's even been in the sheds that much this last few months. She's been at Kennedy Bay, eating salad and fish, she tells me. She looks great, but, she's come through here and all of a sudden she's got that get out of my way look on her face. And then down the end, how lovely, Sam Gordon.
Yes, another Masterton competitor. So what a great family they are for the competition industry, both shearing and wool handling. But, within their own family, I guess there's a lot of help with preparing for competitions and the way they work even in the wool sheds as they work at various people's sheds.
Yeah, that's right. And the other interesting thing, I've talked a little bit about the resident wool handlers. They've been here since day dot 2, Philip, and often someone owned a stand, if you like, like Hinado Mason, stand number 1, and then, her daughter, and then her daughter's daughters have been on those stands. Well, there's nothing different than these Gordon girls as well. So, there's some wonderful stuff going, and now she's carving her own way, young Sam Gordon in this Golden Shears place. Here's Joel.
And just because she's young doesn't mean that she won't make the final. There is a little bit of luck involved with these competitions, and it depends on the fleece sometimes, the way they can throw it.
You talked before about Joel and his throwing style, pushing. Look at that.
Just placing it.
Just a push out there.
Yes.
Lani did the same, a little bit more height to it though.
Yes.
And here's Moni, she goes from the side. Can't see, there's a little bit of overhang, but nothing that you'd be too worried about. So, they've come on to this third fleece looking really sharp and confident.
It's something really your novice and junior competitors should watch these guns and the way that they operate with the fleece. Joel's very clever at the way he places that fleece on the table. You very rarely see any overhang with him.
Look at this board. He's cracking it. Look at that board points. He's got the best. He's certainly on if the green is where you should want to be, he's well into the green. So that's a good sign for Joel. I know that he wants this again.
Just look at those hands and the way they move. It's a bit like a hen picking wheat off the ground. It's pick, 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 pick.
Yeah.
And he's some of our best wool handlers have had that similar action when they skirt the fleeces.
Yeah, that's right. It is, and I remember, I think it was Joel or one of them, they talk about spirit fingers because they just move, they just glide through the you know, the work that's in front of them, and they, you know, that's what they aspire to too, because it's got to be fingertip, it can't be hand, otherwise that's when you start the over-skirting stuff, isn't it?
That's right,
Here we go, next throw. Lani's doing a lovely job. Bit of overhang. You know, there's at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 points that I can see out there with that one side. It's the only thing.
As you can see, when she picked that fleece up, though, there was some fleece holding off down the edge of her arm, and it wasn't held correctly. So once again, when it's thrown, that becomes loose, and basically we'll finish up off the table.
That's right. So now they're taking off that neck wall. You can see there's a little bit of VM. You know, even at this space, we can this distance, we could see just the flecks of those thistle heads or seed heads in there. They have to be removed. That's a processing fault that's intolerable, really, for a quality product. So there they are. It's a great looking scene. Monica, she's trying to work her way around as well. They've been back already to get the eye clip, so now they're free to get back to that fleece and make sure all those processing faults are removed.
Yes, they're on fleece number 3 on the table. 4th sheep's being shorn.
That's right.
So, you know, there's, but the whole wool handling process of the competition, there's plenty of room where you can lose points, and that's where our judges are got to be quite skilled, and so many processes and things to look for where you can lose penalties.
Yeah, did you see the way Sam just moved that fleece around in terms of preparing it?
Yes.
She tried very hard not to break it, move it, or to allow it to come apart. And look at the result. That's a lovely throw, I would have thought. A little bit of bunching, but all of them. These are outstanding throws.
Yeah, but off the table on table 3 there on the right hand side as we look at the screen.
Yes.
So here comes Joel once again.
See what he does. Push out. Oh, a bit of bunching up the
too
top
bad.
there. He looked a bit rushed anyway. You know, when you turn, you actually do need to just balance yourself. He's normally a master at that. This time he kind of just, see that he was...
Yes.
It was almost
yes.
like his body had turned before he'd finished the throw.
I think he was just a little bit late in picking it up.
Yes.
He does look sort of very controlled, but that couple of seconds has cost him just probably a better throw, and I don't know whether he may have got back and swept his board.
Yes.
He is very quick, of course, but look, sometimes it's you can lose points so easily just by rushing, but you can make it up somewhere else. Lose a few points here, but make it up somewhere else.
Yeah. He was giving that fleece quite a bit of a shake. I'm just wonder what he's seeing that we can't see here, but that's a lovely throw, well placed, cleaned that table. Just having a pre-clean up there. Oh heck, oh that tells the story, doesn't it?
That certainly does.
That tells the story.
That's the penalty points they have lost after 4 fleeces.
That's right. And then these walls will all go out the back. Oh gee, look at that. So controlled. So controlled. Lovely. What's Moni going to do?
Yeah,
Nice.
Pretty good. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
She changed her style. She started off where she was throwing from the side of the table, and that's when she was getting a bit of overhang. That fleece there, she actually steadied herself to, take it on at the front. I've seen her often in Alex where, the side table throw is a lot more, not a lot more successful for her, but oh gosh, here we go. Now's the clean-up. This is when we see who is organised, who's done all the thinking. Look at that.
Nice board to clean up. It's very smooth, chipboard floor.
Yep.
So they can...
Oh, there we go. Sam. Where did she come from? Joel. Isn't it funny? You can take your eyes off just for one little tick and...
We've been watching Joel, but it was Sam down on table 4 who had obviously the shearers had finished in the same time.
Yep.
But look, there's a bit more wool under the table with Sam.
Yes,
down
there is.
There, and,
just around her fadges too.
Yes. So
So she'll be penalised for that. She'll wear that, but you know she probably sacrificed that
Yes,
for
a bit
her
of time.
time.
That's it.
And 1:20, which I think is still the sealed time.
1:10.
1:10.
Yes.
You know, you don't want to be losing too much after that. The more you can come in, but no, those stats tell the whole story.
Yes.
So it's all in the outside now. So unless Joel's done something ridiculously bad, like leave stuff in or mix his walls up with in those different fadges, it's looking pretty good for him.
Absolutely, to make the final at
That's
this stage,
right.
just to make the final.
No, well, thank you very much, Philip. I think let's just hold breath and see how the outside judging goes. We'll know that very, very soon. But shortly we're going to be going on to the real hyper part of the start of the program with the Golden Shears Bailey's semi-final open shearing. So this is when we're going to see somethings fly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.